Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Ezza Elhanis binti Muhammad Yusof, and in this video, me and my partner Raja Khaleda will be presenting on our research study, which is factors influencing youth unemployment among social science graduates in public universities. So I will begin with research background. Youth unemployment is one of the common issues that often arises among fresh graduates in Malaysia, and according to the Malaysian Labour Force Survey, as cited by Ismail 2011, youth unemployment refers to an individual who is prepared to be in the job industry but unable to gain a job in a particular span of time. The rate of youth unemployment is also much higher than the adults in most countries of the world. And according to the United Nations, unemployment problems have been given serious attention throughout the world from the first decade of the 21st century. Therefore, this study concerns youth unemployment, which will focus on social science graduates in public universities in order to identify the correlation with the factors that influence the youth unemployment. For problem statement, Muhammad Noor et al. 2007 discovered that underemployment among youth has serious consequences on income's outlook and prospect of unemployment. The Department of Statistics 2020 stated that Malaysia today's underemployed percentage increased from 5% in April 2020 to 5.3% in May 2020, and the total of underemployed civilians grew by 47,300 to 826,100 people. May 2020 showed the number of jobless persons has increased compared to the amount between March and April, which were 168,300 people. The economic and industrial pattern in May 2020 has determined the development differences from April 2020, in which the economic shift in Malaysia's economy can be examined. This situation shifted due to the economic changes in April 2020 that involved the decreased decline in job supply until May 2020, and the situation became worse when Malaysia's government announced the Recovery Movement Control Order (RMCO). Moreover, Malaysia is confronted with a 10.9% jobless youth rate, which is the highest youth underemployment in 2020 and was placed as the third youth underemployment percentage among nations in ASEAN after Philippines and Indonesia with 12.2%. Even though the government took several actions in response to the alarming cases of youth unemployment among social science graduates from public universities in Malaysia, the cases are still increasing by 0.6%. A research objective, this research will examine the pattern of youth unemployment among social science graduates in public universities, analyze the relationship between educational qualification and the youth unemployment among social science graduates in public universities, analyze the relationship between employability skills and the youth unemployment among social science graduates in public universities, and determine the most prominent factors that influence youth unemployment among social science graduates in public universities. And for research questions, this study will question what is the pattern of youth unemployment among social science graduates in public universities, what is the relationship between educational qualification and the youth unemployment among social science graduates in public universities, what is the relationship between employability skills and the youth unemployment among social science graduates in public universities, and the last research question is what is the most dominant factors that can be analyzed in with the youth unemployment among social science graduates in public universities. For conceptual framework, the dependent variable of this research is youth unemployment. The concept of unemployment has been defined as a condition in which people who are willing to work at the normal wage rate are unable to find job. It is one of the problems which every responsible government is expected to check and regulate. The first independent variable is educational qualification. Growth in education is to be expected to make the adroitness of an individual more worthy in production and consequently for individual employability potential. Plus, it may also enlarge the efficiency of the matching process as more educated employees are more mobile and have a wide range of finding opportunities. Next is employability skills. Lee 2006 defined employability as the initiation of clear mechanisms by which students can evaluate their capabilities to use and deploy a wide range of adroitness and chances to increase their own knowledge and qualify them to become more employable. And the last independent variable is youth attitude, in which the graduate's attitude has affected them in being employed.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Khaleeda Aini Binti Khalid, and I will be continuing this presentation on the research method. So, on the research design, in this study, the researcher have chosen to apply a quantitative methods. Quantitative research designs generated statistics through the use of research survey such as questionnaire or structured interviews. The reason for selecting a descriptive research method is because it is easier to collect information when it comes to large individual samples that is being used. Besides, due to this pandemic COVID-19, the researcher need to be more creative in handling the questionnaire due to the restriction of movement control order, or also known as MCO. Thus, Google Form will be used as a platform to collect all the data needed. Next, unit of analysis. The unit of analysis for this study is the unemployed graduates from public universities. All of the respondents will be among unemployed graduates that are suffering in finding jobs and continually seeking for a job opportunity. The researcher has chosen public universities graduates as a respondent because most of the past researchers agreed on the idea that the highest number of unemployed graduates are coming from public universities. We will discuss on sample size. 170 sample size was collected from the distribution of Google Form questionnaires via various social media platforms such as Facebook, WhatsApp, and Telegram. The candidates will be among all public universities graduates that was suffering from unemployment. Therefore, the total amount of candidates from various public universities will be gathered as one to ensure there will be less bias on the respondent that are selected as a sample. Moving to the sampling techniques, in this research, the researchers have chosen the rule of thumb by Roscoe Rules 1975 to be used in collecting the 170 samples from the Google Form questionnaire. A rule of thumb was used when there were no prior knowledge about the population to be sampled. The sample size that was proposed by the rule of thumb should be required a sample size that is larger than 30 but less than 500. Hence, it shows that the rule of thumb by Roscoe were appropriate for the most research since the sample size that was collected is 170 samples, which were between 30 and 500. Moving to the data collection method, the researcher will use Google Form platform in creating the questionnaire through Google Form. This is because the questionnaire that were created in Google Form will be easier to share in the social media such as Facebook, WhatsApp, and Telegram. It is to ensure that the researcher obtain accurate data and information as the Google Form could be shared freely and zero payment needed in terms of editing and printing. Thus, the data will be received in shorter time as soon after the Google Form was spread around the social media. Now, let us discuss on the findings. Based on the reported results, the total respondent amounted to 170, which brings to the highest contribution by the female groups that amounted to 91 people. The male group has also made a great contribution which was represented by 79 people. Moreover, out of 170 respondents, 75 of them were at the range of age 21 to 23, followed by the age group of 24 and above, represented by 57 respondents. The remaining 38 respondents were contributed by the age group of 18 to 20. Next, the result also shows on the merit status percentage was nominated by 88.2% and 11.8% for single and married person respectively. In addition, 42.9% own a bachelor degree and 31.8% has graduated from STPM and diploma. 19 respondents mentioned that they are a master fresh graduates, while the remaining 24 respondents qualified others highest level of education. Lastly, the researcher also includes the reason that can be chosen by the respondent regarding the difficulties that they face in finding a job. Since the respondent may tick more than one answer, the researcher assumed that each respondent may choose more than 3 answers based on the result. In total, 90.6% agreed that the most crucial reason is due to experience, followed by opportunity for the amount of 81.8%. Besides, qualification also showed a result of more than 50%. Difficulties of finding a job because of their age, others, and gender was agreed by 48, 44, and 37 respondents respectively. The first hypothesis testing is to analyze on descriptive statistic for dependent variables, which is youth unemployment. According to the published results, the statement, "The present public university graduates are too many in our nations," has the greatest mean value of 4.74. Next, the second, third, and fourth hypothesis testing is to analyze on Pearson correlation. The second objective of this research is to study the relationship between youth unemployment and educational qualifications on unemployed fresh graduates from public universities. The strength of correlation is high positive relationship since the R value is equals to 0.654. Based on the results, HO1 is rejected since p-value 0.00 is smaller than 0.05. Hence, HA1 is accepted, which results in a significant relationship between youth unemployment and educational qualifications. Moving to the third research objective, the study will continue to investigate the relationship between youth unemployment and employability skills. Referring to the table provided, that the correlation value between youth unemployment and employability skills was high positive relationship where R equals to 0.545 while p-value 0.00 is less than 0.05. Thus, HO is rejected when makes the conclusion that there is a significant relationship between youth unemployment and employability skills. Lastly, on Pearson correlation, research objective 4, the researcher was examine the relationship between youth unemployment and youth attitude. As a result, the relationship between youth unemployment and youth attitude had shown the strength of correlation is high positive relationship where R value equals to 0.648. As an outcome, the decision made is to accept HA since the p-value 0.00 is lower than 0.05. Hence, there is a significant relationship between youth unemployment and youth attitude. To conclude the hypothesis testing, the researcher has chosen multiple regression as an analysis. According to the table provided, as demonstrated by p-value 0.00 less than 0.05 and beta value of 4.23, educational qualification has shown the most dominant factors that affecting youth unemployment among social science graduates from public institutions.
The first limitation was the smaller number of sample size. The researchers only collected 170 total numbers of data through the distribution of questionnaires compared to the actual population of social science graduates in public universities. Besides, the data collected does not involve all public universities in Malaysia, as the questionnaire was only received by a few public universities in Malaysia. The second limitation was the medium of data collection, which referred to the method used in distributing the questionnaire. The researchers used Google Form and distributed the questionnaire online through WhatsApp and Facebook. And even though Google Form is a good technology use as it can help to save the cost, time, and the information can also be properly arranged by the system, but some of the targeted respondents are not interested in answering a questionnaire and choose to ignore the questionnaire. The recommendations are based on the results of this study and indicate the specific measures that can be taken in future research. In future suggestions, the scope of study can be widened through the sample and the area covered in this study. The area scope of this study can involve all social science graduates in all public universities in Malaysia in order to make sure that the findings of this study is more detailed. Through this, the researchers can get more detailed information about the factors that influence youth unemployment among social science graduates in public universities. Next, the mixed method survey is also one of the recommendations that can be used in future study. The researchers can collect and analyze both qualitative and quantitative data. These two types of data collected can provide proof for each other and do a strong support of study. Through this, comprehensive results on the factors influencing youth unemployment among social science graduates in public universities can be obtained.
As a conclusion, there is a significant relationship between all the variables, which are educational qualification, employability skills, and youth attitude based on the result obtained. With these research findings, this data can be used in identifying the factors influencing youth unemployment among social science graduates in public universities. Moreover, all of the statistic techniques presented in the chapter are appropriate for the investigation. As a result, it is possible to conclude that all of the independent variables impacting youth unemployment was related to one and another. That's all from us. Thank you so much.